As many of you may know, I'm a big fan of the P2 Volvo XC90, and in fact, as far as the internet is concerned, I've had 2 of them so far. But today we're just outside of Charlestown, South Carolina, in Somerville, to pick up my 4th XC90. What's wrong with me? In rather unfortunate circumstances to reintroduce my car, this is Duke, my 2009 Volvo XC90 V8 Executive. This was my dream car, the car. And then a little bit over 2 months ago, someone rear-ended me and I was sandwiched in an accident. I did make a community post about it, but I just wasn't really in the right headspace to set up the camera and start talking immediately. But it was quite the ordeal. This is not the night that I thought I'd be having, but it just rained. I literally just left my house. I'm not even 2 minutes from my house. There was an idiot stopped where this ambulance was in the middle of the street. This lady in the Hyundai Elantra, she stopped, I stopped, and then this truck hit us. I'm not upset because it's wet, but I'm sad because I got a full tank today. This lady's car is pretty messed up. The front of my car took the hit pretty well, I guess. It's more the back. Fuck. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. At this point, just about 2 months later, thankfully things have subsided and things are just starting to get back to normal. But I still have to say it is very unfortunate to see my car sitting in its indignant state, especially after the last update video, me praising this car. But thankfully, as you know by the title, I have another brand new XC90 sitting next to me. As you can also see, by this point, I've taken a lot of the parts from this car and put them onto my other XC90, and I am still in the process of harvesting all the parts. I wanted to be able to get first dibs. I don't want this thing to end up in a junkyard for other grimy hands to touch. This is my car, and I'm sentimental about my cars, so I wanted to be the one to part it out myself. I don't think anything of value will be left when I'm done with this, because I'm even going to be taking the engine and transmission from this car. And then when I'm done with the carcass, I am planning to junk it. If anyone wants an XC90 carcass for some reason, you can let me know when I'm done with this, but it'll most likely be going to the scrapyard. I'll keep the extra V8 around, maybe for an extra fun project in the future, but you never know. So even though I was rear-ended, I still have some front-end damage as well. And first of all, the car was a total loss. That's why I'm parting it out and doing all this. I wouldn't do this to a perfectly good XC90, but I didn't want to go through the hassle of having a rebuilt title, dealing with insuring a car with a rebuilt title, and then also dealing with having a rebuilt title car and an accident car re-inspected. Even though this thing drives like nothing happened to it, I just didn't really feel like dealing with it, so I'd rather be parting it out like this. Thankfully though, the damage in the front wasn't too bad because I was just pushed into a Hyundai Elantra, as you could see, but I have damage on the hood. The hood is messed up the grill. Thankfully I salvaged the headlights and I put them on my other XC90. But unfortunately, the front bumper got messed up as well. And only a week before the accident, I painted this silver trim in the front of the car. So it got a fresh coat of paint just to go into the back of a Hyundai. It's very annoying. And when I say this has been a complete part out, I am not exaggerating. This is a junk front seat from another junk car. The interior, I mean, you can't really see from this, maybe here. The interior is completely gutted. I took the headliner out. I took all the seats out. So I used the executive seats in another project that will come to the channel sometime in the future. A lot of people told me this as they've seen this car in person that the damage doesn't look that bad. And I agree with you, it really doesn't look that bad because the bumper hides a lot of it. The tailgate is clearly messed up. Like, I have to force it open. Even the top half of the tailgate is messed up. This isn't just made out of metal like you think it is. This has some fiberglass in it as well. So it's cracked in a few spots at the very bottom where the truck hit me. But you can see that it doesn't close. That's one thing first. And you can also see how messed up and mangled the lower half of the tailgate is. But mainly, maybe I'll bring you a little bit closer. Hang on. All the damage that really totaled this car out is behind the bumper here. It really did a good job at hiding it. The rear crash bar is bent in. The whole rear end of the car is bent in because the battery is now touching the third row, and it's not supposed to do that. But as you can see, most of what this thing has been doing recently is sitting down, unfortunately. Out of all the cars I've had, I have actually never had to junk a car before, so this is a very foreign experience. Of course, with the new car, I've been able to move on, but it still is hard to let this thing go. So we have picked up my next XC90, XC90 number 4. I think I'm ready to show it to you all. It's a black 2011 V8 Executive. It looks just like my old car pretty much as soon as I put the wheels on it. I would say in different aspects it is in dire straits, especially cosmetically, and I'll give you a bit of a quick tour of my newest acquisition. So again, this is a 2011 XC90 V8 Executive. And if you don't know what the Executive trim is, it's the highest trim that Volvo offered for the P2 XC90. And I'm very happy to say that I now own the last year of the XC90 V8. So it's pretty cool. This one has 250,000 miles on it, 10,000 miles over my old XC90, so I'm not doing too bad. So this XC90 is very similar to the last 2 XC90 V8s that I've owned, but this one is ember black, just like my first one. So it has a hint of brown in the paint. I'm very excited to eventually polish and get this in good looking condition, but there are unfortunately some defects on the body that I'll show you in just a moment. Under the hood of these XC90 V8s is the renowned B8 444S. It's a 4.4 liter dual overhead cam V8. It really is a great engine. I've had 3 XC90s with this engine. It's paired to an Aisin 6-speed automatic transmission, and in this case Haldex Generation 4. I've learned a lot about Haldex and how that system works with the last XC90. Thankfully, this one doesn't have any differential issues. So the first thing I'm gonna do, well, one of the first things I'm gonna do once this is home in Maryland is change that rear diff fluid, because I don't wanna do it all over again. So like I said, this thing has 250,000 miles. Surprisingly, not that many issues because they have been addressed in the past by the previous 2 owners. I don't notice the valve cover gaskets leaking too much. When it's sitting at a red light for a while, I can kind of smell remnants of oil, so maybe it leaked before and it wasn't cleaned too well, but we'll see when this is up in the air at home. The powertrain itself seems pretty responsive and pretty tight. It's just the suspension that seems quite loose, especially in the front. The control arms, sway bar links, everything seems like it's just completely done and metal on metal. Because we're in South Carolina and it's almost 100 degrees, this car does not have a working air conditioning system. I think the compressor is bad, but I bought the car knowing that it had all these defects. I will say that. If you'll see, we finally have the actual OEM Galatias. These are the 19-inch wheels that you could see on the XC90 Executive, and also some later years of the XC90 as well, but I'm gonna put my 20s on. I have a lot of plans for this one, and maybe when I get home we'll go into it a little bit more, but I think it's time to see this a little bit more up close. This is my next XC90, or my latest XC90, an 11 V8 Executive. I just wanted to go over some of the defects because this was essentially about a $2,500 car when I bought it because it's 250,000 miles. You can see the driver's side headlight is in good shape, and it has the headlight washer cap, which is nice. It has the updated front grille that you got on the 2010 and 2011. You also have a hazy passenger side headlight with the missing washer cap. I'm gonna just put the headlights from my XC90 on this one because they're the same. I'm also gonna put on that washer cap. You can see this one has the front plate bracket on it. I like it without it, so I'm going to take it off. But overall, it's a pretty decent looking car, especially for how cheap I got this, because when it was new, this was about $60,000. Of course, it's not in the condition of a 60K car right now, but it still looks pretty good. We can go up closer and look at the 19-inch wheels here. They're in decent shape, but the tires in the front are shot. I think the control arms are absolutely gone in this. You can see here, maybe, how bad the front tire is. Maybe if I can get under here. You can see the thread. I can't believe people drive cars like this normally. It's kind of shocking, and it drives like it's broken too. I'll talk about that in a little bit. You can see the executive mirror caps, which I like quite a bit. Thankfully, the body is overall in good shape, especially considering the mileage, because real quick, the front end of my XC90 was pelted with stone chips, so this is actually a little bit better. Unfortunately, we have some damage on this fender here. If you can see it, a bit of a crease. I think it'll be able to get out, hopefully with PDR. There's also a bit of a crease right here as well, and this gouge. But it's a shame seeing this car in a neglected state. I did wash it. It was in much worse looking shape when I first got it, but I still love these things very dearly. On the executives and the later years, you have the chrome trim underneath the tail lights. Everything is still here, thankfully. The only thing besides the damage on this side, before I get on the other side, you can see, thankfully, this one has the factory hitch and the nice executive exhaust tip. This one also, because it's a 2011, has the backup camera right here, which is actually a cool feature to have. You can see this side is actually pretty good as well. Like, overall, it's a good car. Over here, this marker light is broken. The paint has completely faded off this rear fender flare, so I'm gonna have to have that painted. And this is the most puzzling part over here. Hopefully you can see. I don't know how this happened, but I guess door dings from up in the air? I don't know what. So I'm gonna have to have this and also this fixed, and I hope that does not mean repainting these two doors, but I think that's what that does mean. Okay, I think I've sweat enough on camera today, so we're going to get into my car without air conditioning and continue. I think we have about 7 hours left, but we're going to get a little bit hot and sticky inside my XC90. And now this rather radiant looking SUV sitting next to me is the new Duke Jr., my 2011 XC90 V8 Executive. I'm truly fortunate to be able to find another one. I only paid about $2,000 for this thing because it was in rather dire straits when I got it, as you probably saw at the beginning of this video, but we've already gone through quite a bit mechanically and cosmetically. Honestly, a little bit farther down the road than I thought I'd be by this moment in time, but in order to not make this video super long, I'll save everything that I've done to this car so far in another video. Of course, with 250,000 miles, the road still continues and the XC90 adventure still continues, which just makes it more fun for you and also for me. But I hope you all enjoyed this current installment in my XC90 adventure. It's rather unfortunate, but it turned into something rather great. I would also like to apologize for the lack of consistency in uploads in this turbulent time. Thankfully, things are really settling now and I'm filming more. So stay tuned for many more fun videos to come with this XC90 and many XC90s like it, and also some other cars as well. But I won't hold you all too long. Thank you all for watching again, liking, commenting, and subscribing, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye, peeps.